You want to know the quickest way to drive an ally like Mexico into the waiting economic arms of China? Insult them to their face. Insult their national pride and say that the government is in bed with narco-traffickers while you're trying to negotiate a trade agreement. That's what Donald Trump has done to Mexico, and Claudia Sheinbaum and the rest of the country has had enough. And so have I. I'm here on Legal AF on this YouTube channel. Thanks for being here with me. There's a trade war going on of Donald Trump's choosing. Mexico didn't ask for it. Mexico doesn't want it, but they're ready to fire back as necessary. Claudia Sheinbaum has had it with the attacks on Mexico, and the people of Mexico are rallying around her. See, Donald Trump is the great uniter. He's uniting the people of Mexico around Claudia Sheinbaum, the people of Latin and South America around the leadership of Claudia Sheinbaum. If that's the unifier that he wanted to be, he's doing a fantastic job. Now, Claudia Sheinbaum's country, by the way, just so you know where this is coming from, Trump is concerned with imposing some sort of tariff on Mexico to put more troops at the border for his immigration policy. You know what's going on right now that's going up to the United States Supreme Court that doesn't get a lot of press? Mexico's suit against U.S. gun manufacturers for $10 billion for allowing guns to pour into Mexico from the United States. That's already been upheld by a federal court, and it's up to the United States Supreme Court for a decision in March. That's the backdrop for what we're watching. Now, Claudia Sheinbaum and her inner circle have been working since the campaign to create an infrastructure of resilience to fire back at Donald Trump if he were to tax them or tariff them the way that they're doing, to stop the flow of trade, of commerce and goods between Mexico and Canada, to stop all the other uses that America has for Mexican goods and labor. It's a bad thing. It's also a bad thing to insult the national pride of a country like Mexico, or really any country, and say that they're in bed with narco-traffickers. Now, that's not the first time that he's said that. They said that back in as early as January, the beginning of January. He said virtually the same thing. They just weren't expecting it when he announced the 25% tariff that would end up in his posting. And now they're firing back. I mean, as long as we're on the topic, I know that MAGA, the Heritage Foundation, and Trump want to amend the Constitution. While we're amending the Constitution, can we amend it to allow Claudia Sheinbaum to be our next president? Let me show you a clip. In case you were wondering what a astute, professional, confident, adult leader of a nation, a democratic nation, looks like, let me show you the clip. It's translated for you. Let me show you the clip of Claudia Sheinbaum taking on Donald Trump, right? Actually, I think I've got two clips. One, you'll see her approach. Two, she fires back on Donald Trump wanting to change the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America by saying, why don't we change the name of America to Mexico America? Because that was sort of its name back in the day. Let's show the two clips.
México no quiere confrontación. Partimos de la colaboración entre países vecinos. México no solo no quiere que el fentanilo llegue a Estados Unidos, sino que no queremos que llegue a ninguna parte. Por ello, si Estados Unidos quiere combatir a los grupos delictivos y quiere que lo hagamos conjuntamente, debemos trabajar en forma integral, pero siempre bajo principios, los principios de responsabilidad compartida, de confianza mutua, de colaboración y sobre todo respeto a la soberanía. La soberanía no es negociable. Coordinación sí, subordinación no. Para ello, el día de ayer, en mi comunicado, le propuse al presidente Trump que establezcamos una mesa de trabajo con nuestros mejores equipos, los de seguridad y también los de salud pública. No es con la imposición de los aranceles como se resuelven los problemas, sino hablando y dialogando, como lo hicimos, pero esto se los quiero contar. Lo hicimos así en las últimas semanas con el Departamento de Estado para atender el fenómeno de la migración.
Obviamente, Golfo de México es reconocido el nombre por Naciones Unidas, un organismo de
Naciones Unidas, pero el siguiente, ¿por qué no le llamamos América Mexicana? Se oye bonito, ¿no? Con el respeto debido siempre, pues a lo mejor ayer tuvo una mala información y piensa que todavía gobierna Felipe Calderón y García Luna. En México gobierna el pueblo y vamos a colaborar y entendernos con el gobierno del presidente Trump, estoy segura de ello, defendiendo nuestra soberanía como país libre, independiente, soberano.
I like leaders who are really smart, PhDs, scientists, grew up in the hard scrabble world of Mexican politics. I've said it as a compliment. She's the Nancy Pelosi of Mexico. And we know what happened with Nancy Pelosi and Donald Trump. Nancy Pelosi ate Donald Trump's lunch on a regular basis. If she hasn't read the biography of Nancy Pelosi, I assure you, they're following a similar path to try to fight and beat Donald Trump at his own game. Now, it's a low blow for Donald Trump, and all he's doing is galvanizing what are allies. I remind you, Mexico is an ally. Colombia is an ally. Panama is an ally. How do I know? Go to the State Department website, even today, and it talks about allies in democracy and these countries. Pissing off Central and South America, challenging their national pride will only lead to these countries turning to China and turning to Russia for support. All you got to do is travel throughout the Caribbean, Central and South America, and see how many Chinese infrastructure projects there are to understand that this is a real threat. It will backfire on Donald Trump. That's why major Wall Street banks like JP Morgan Chase and others are starting to make a declaration I never thought I'd hear about a Trump/MAGA administration, that they are not pro-business. That is the death knell. We're 13 days or so into an administration. It's hard to believe. It'll be 2 weeks tomorrow, and already Wall Street and the big banks and the analysts are saying the same thing. This is not a pro-business administration. And that's a bad thing for analysts to already believe about where you're going. Now, all these little too smart by half geniuses around Donald Trump that think they know how to run the economy because they successfully ran a family office or a family business, or they were able to take $1 billion from the market running businesses. That's not the U.S. economy, okay? It's not the same thing to go on CNBC and say, oh, I think the U.S. economy is doing fantastic. I believe in tariffs. And I mean, that's just my monopoly guy voice. That's not the same thing as being responsible for the intricacies of the U.S. economy. And we're watching it here. I like everything about Claudia Sheinbaum and the way that she's running her country and the way she's thumbing her nose at Donald Trump because it's important. And that $10 billion lawsuit, Donald Trump complains about fentanyl and, all the porous borders. Those borders were already resolved by Joe Biden in the last year of his administration. The numbers plummeting at the border for people coming in, sending now, I got Mexico to send 10,000 troops to the border. Good for you. I mean, the numbers are so down there. Have you been there? They got on Kamala Harris all the time. I still see J.D. Vance. He hasn't gone down to the border. Donald Trump hasn't gone to the border. Nobody wants to go down to that border at this rate. And J.D. Vance doesn't understand economics or immigration policy anyway. I heard him say the other day in social media, I have Canadian friends. I like Canada, but I don't want to see the flow of fentanyl. The flow of fentanyl from Canada, it is microscopic. There's more flow of fentanyl between Michigan and Illinois than there is between Canada and the United States. Wake up, or Ohio and Michigan. That's the flow of fentanyl, JD. I know you were a short-term, part-time senator there. But the resounding takeaway for how South and Central America and Mexico are handling Donald Trump is that they're handling Donald Trump as Europe unites against the United States at the very same time. What did Donald Trump think? He might have got, it's sort of like Pearl Harbor. He got the surprise attack, Tuesday, no time for anybody to organize, no time for any of the businesses to organize. Tuesday, it's going to be Tariff Tuesday. It's like Taco Tuesday by Donald Trump. It was like the sneak attack the Japanese did on Pearl Harbor. But then what happened in the rest of the war? Okay? I'm not fluent in Japanese today, are you? Who won that war? Yeah. So eventually, even though they might have been, punched in the face in the first round of the fight, the Europeans are getting off the mat. The Mexicans, Colombians, Panamanians are too. And they've got it out for now the Americans. There's an old joke about if you're going to, shoot the king, you better kill the king. Otherwise, you have a wounded, pissed off king. And now we just got wounded, pissed off Mexicans, Colombians, Panamanians, Europeans, and the rest. And I'm here for it. I'm going to report on it. It's part of the story of why the Trump administration is already foundering less than 2 weeks into its administration. It's the reason why major analysts are calling it bad for business, because it is. And unfortunately, it's going to trickle down and end up in the water table, the water supply, and end up harming your purse and pocketbook and mine. Because I thought the Republican Party was all about, kitchen table and pocketbook economics. Where is that? Where is that? Their group that's making these economic decisions are so far removed from the American people and from the policies that they're making and the impact and the consequences of them, that of course this is happening. I'm going to continue to follow it. I'm glad you're here for it. You're on Legal AF. I'm Michael Popok. Until my next reporting. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories at the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.